Hello, viewers. Me and Iman are going on an adventure to the hot and dry desert biome.
We're going to be talking about the climate of the desert biome. The average summer temperature is 43.5 to 49 Celsius. The average winter temperature is 20 to 25 Celsius. Bees pollinating cacti is an example of mutualism.
The curcetto bush grows under the holly shrub, and the holly shrub supplies the curcetto bush shade, so this is an example of commensalism. Fleas feed off of coyotes and get fed, but the coyote gets diseases and is a very hazardous effect. This is parasitism.
Examples of competitions would be the roots of the cactus plant fighting for space below the ground. Cactus wrens fight with other cactus wrens over cacti for food and water. Desert coyote and the sidewinder rattlesnake fight over the pocket mouse.
Okay, now we will look at density dependent factors in the desert. As you can see in the picture, there's really not that much trees and shrubs in the desert. So, and with any other ecosystem, there's a wind. And since nothing's really stopping this wind, like the wind is dangerous, so it kind of hurts the animals and stuff. And number two is low rainfall. As also you can see in the picture, the ground's pretty dried up. That's kind of why the desert is not that dense, because there needs to be rain for all the organisms to live. So yeah. Another density independent factor in the desert is its scorching heat. I mean, as we all know, it gets really hot in the desert, and not all the organisms can, live with this heat. So that's kind of why it's less dense than most other ecosystems. All right, now onto density dependent factors. In the desert, disease is one of the probably the biggest density dependent factor because no matter how big a population, disease is liable to spread, especially if the population is big, but usually in the desert the population is small. But the disease can still spread because animals are in close contact. Like in the picture, those two camels are in close contact. Another dependent factor in the desert is actually competition. Like in the picture you see above with the cacti and the cacti wren, how they compete for the resources. See, well, the more animals there are, like the more cacti wren there are, the more competition there is, making this a dependent factor. Now we will do the plants and animal adaptations of the desert. First, let's start with cactuses. Cacti hold water in them to store water during the very dry periods of the desert. Now, desert ferns have also adapted to dealing with the drought periods of the desert. They can become completely dehydrated without actually dying during the periods until it rains again, of course. Desert marigolds probably have one of the most unique adaptations in the desert because they actually will not grow. Like, they will stay in the ground, the seeds, as seeds. They will not grow until the drought period is over. Like most animals, the kangaroo rat comes out at night when it is colder to escape the intense heat of the day.
Rattlesnakes dig holes in the night to keep warm and to keep protection.
So we all know those long and cute ears jackrabbits have. Well, actually, they've adapted to have long ears to cool them off during the long and intense hot summer days in this desert.
This is an example of a food web in the desert biome. This is an example of an energy pyramid in a desert biome. Human activity such as firewood gathering and the grazing of animals converts semi-arid regions into deserts. This is known as desertification. The water cycle is one of the not so common cycles in the desert because of the long periods of drought and the little rainfall. But this cycle is most important so the organisms of the desert don't die.
Another useful cycle in the desert is the nitrogen cycle. In the nitrogen cycle, deserts plants absorb nitrogen through photosynthesis, and then these plants are eaten by insects and then slightly bigger animals and then larger animals. The cool thing though is the nitrogen that started off in the producers, the plants, carries through all these animals, so now all these animals have nitrogen in them. Alrighty, everybody. I hope you enjoyed our National Geographic video. Hope to see you next time.